we have our fetches. We're on a pretty low fetch count for creativity list because we do have 2 Lorien revealed. Don't have access to Dwarven Mine as reliable as other creativity builds do because we're only on 10 fetches and not 12. But we have our looting to go with our persist plan as well. And we dig through our deck pretty efficiently with looting, remand drawing cards, Fable looting, Prismara looting. It shouldn't really be a problem. We also have 1 mana removal with Bold and Push. Maybe we should play more pushes to get rid of Psychic Frogs, but I wanted to maximize the red removal spells that are good. No need to run Galvanic Discharge right here because we also sometimes do need the additional reach. Our early interaction and counterspell suit, 3 Spell Pierce, 3 Remand. Could play a split with some Stern Scoldings or some Spell Snares, but Spell Pierce I think is the best at protecting what we want to do. And other than that, just the usual Fable, Creativity, Archon, nothing too impressive. Our sideboard is pretty weird because I threw this list together rather quickly. So we have 4 Consign against the Drowsy matchup obviously, as well as 2 Terrastodon. I want to test Dressdown again, because Zoo has been on a slight upswing and it also again helps against stuff like Amulet Titan, which could be pretty rough for this list I think. Leyline against Graveyard Hate. We played against Gorius earlier. Leyline was an absolute MVP. Vampire's Vengeance as a board wipe and creativity target with a blood token, and 2 Terrastodon as our alternate targets, because we can also persist them. So let's not waste any more time and let's just jump right into the game. Oh, there we have it. Match number 1, running an experimental Grixis creativity list through a league. Final Fantasy just released, but I don't think anybody so far has real access to the cards. The leagues have never been emptier. There is only like 20 active players right now because the patch just dropped. Would love to run some lists with Final Fantasy cards, but unfortunately there's no shot at playing them already. So I thought, why not just give the people what they want and run a creativity league? Let's just grab a Sundering Falls for now. So we have Remand up. We find a Swordseize. I want more lands, so let's just get rid of it. We find a Lorien. We don't have to remand. That is a land drop. Don't hate it. We don't have to remand. We can also grab a tapped Black Source to have our persists up. Opponent grabs a basic island and casts an Otherworldly Gate. So they are probably Gorios, I'd assume. Luckily, we do have 4 Leyline of the Void in our sideboard. So I hope that we can fight through it. They get rid of 3 lands. Yep, there's 3 Leyline or 4 Leylines. Don't really find anything interesting right there. I do appreciate it. And they shock in a Watery Grave. So let's just use our Lorien revealed. Let's just grab another tapped land, because why not? And we will grab a Rorschach Theater right here. Good thing about something like this is your opponent never knows what you're up to. That's a 4th land. I like it. But I will just play the Sundering Falls for now. We do have Remand. We have another Remand on top. Let's just keep it, even though it's no fetch land for our creativity. No Dwarven Mines inside, but having 2 Remands doesn't sound too bad. And just remanding this Otherworldly Gate right here also doesn't sound too terrible, because it still gets rid of it. And we draw a card. Opponent was not able to have any good graveyard setup, and I hope they don't mill themselves right here and reanimate. They just have a Tainted Indulgence. And they discard another land. So they are somewhat flooding. We find a Blood Crypt, a Fatal Push. Let's just play a tap Blood Crypt. We have another Remand up. Now we're basically just looking for an Archon to hit our graveyard, or for a Dwarven Mine to go for creativity. Opponent mills another Otherworldly Gaze. I was considering just playing Mana Leak over Remand in this list, but I really thought that being able to dig a bit might be nice. Opponent, I will let this Phalagi resolve. And they mill a Gorios Vengeance. I also grab it. They don't have any targets in their graveyard yet, but we have to be wary of that. And because they do play Psychic Frog and Emperor of Bones, let's use a Lightning Bolt on this Archaeologist. Opponent wants to Ephemerate. We could either remand the Ephemerate or Fatal Push. I think I want to remand and dig deeper to find an answer, to find an Archon, not an answer. I think we have to land something on the board, and the remand also makes it so our opponent doesn't have white mana for the Archaeologist, for the Ephemerate to cast it again. find a Fable, that's not too bad. And we find a Spell Pierce. Don't dislike that, because it means we can protect our Fable or potentially counter Gorgias if our opponent plays something to loot and a Gorgias next turn. Do they fight over the Fable? They don't, so we get our Shaman. One problem with Persist in this matchup is that their removal is most likely just Solitudes, so they will exile our Archons once they hit the field, and Persist doesn't really do anything afterwards. Let's play a 5th land drop and shock in a Godless Shrine, so they probably just have a hardcore Solitude. Question is, do they just cast it right now? They go for a Prismatic ending on our Fable, that's okay. Can't really do anything about it. And them using removal spell for that also is fine. We still have our Shaman to make more mana. We won't be able to loot away some of our persists, which is pretty sad, but everything's still fine. And they run out of Psychic Frog. Now I'm glad we kept this Fatal Push. So let's push this Frog. Drawing another Fable also is pretty nice, because now we can attack with our Shaman and still have Spell Pierce up after the Fable. We could also run out of Creativity, but I don't think I want to expose myself to bigger threats right here. Because they did not discard something with their Psychic Frog. They could have discarded something right here. So maybe going for Creativity right now would be good, because it appears that they just don't have anything in their hand to discard, because we know they have a Gorgias Vengeance, but we would be open to a Solitude. So let's just play our Fable and play it slow for another turn. So next turn it might also just be lethal if we go for bigger Creativity, and we would also be able to protect it with a Spell Pierce in case our opponent is on Force of Negation. Fable resolves. Opponent flashbacks their Otherworldly Gaze, sure. They also do that in their upkeep, so they want to make sure they draw something good. They mill a Marshlands and a Solitude. Getting rid of a Solitude sounds pretty good for me, and they still don't have a target in their graveyard. I think we might be able to win next turn. Opponent activates the Sapphire Colosseum to loot, and they only have 2 more mana up, so our Spell Piece will save us. Opponent casts Gorgias Vengeance, we have Spell Pierce, and the big Creativity next turn should be game. Opponent for 4. We also get to loot away another Archon. Let's do that. And to persist, because drawing a land would be sweet. We don't, but that's okay. Hit our opponent for 4. Make 2 treasure token. Creativity away, both of these. And we still have Lightning Bolt for lethal. Opponent has a Force of Negation now. That's annoying. Is our opponent's last card another Gorgias Vengeance now? Is the only real question. Down to 2 cards. We still have persist to reanimate our Archons next turn. It's not like we're in a bad spot. They destroy our Shamans. That's okay. Let's just bolt them to make use of our treasure, because it would die. Opponent goes down to 4. And we draw the last persist. 1 persist hopefully is enough, because our opponent will discard their last card. And they scoop it up. Nice. On to sideboarding. Now sideboarding against Gorgias Vengeance. Lightning Bolt doesn't sound too hot. Leyline, on the other hand, sounds real nice. Not sure, maybe we would also bring in Dress Down against the likes of Emperor of Bones, but I don't really think so. I think just getting the Leylines, having push against their frogs sounds decent enough. So on to the next game. We persist with Archon, able to loot it away, and the Leyline in our opening hand. That's pretty much perfect. So we'll definitely keep it, and just hope we don't die to multiple Psychic Frog beatdown. We have a pre-game action opponent. Opponent just plays a Surveillant, sure, but there's also not that many turn 1 plays they could have. And we draw Faceless Looting. Perfect. So let's just grab our Blood Crypt, loot away the Archon, and persist it next turn. So even a Frogless right then and there would not hurt us. Let's also get rid of 1 of the lands we just drew. And now looting might be card disadvantage, but reanimating Archon sure sounds worth the effort. Opponent could have a counter spell for that, but we wouldn't really mind because we have a second persist right after. Archon resolves. They can get rid of it with Solitude and such, but just landing this 1 Archon with a Leyline is so much card advantage on the spot that we are hopefully able to carry it through to victory. especially with Fable hitting the board next turn. Opponent discards the Tainted Indulgence and we draw Creativity, so we do have backup. And they have a Solitude. Do they also... They exile one Ephemerate. The question is, do they have another one to keep it around? They do. So the Solitude will stick around, but playing Fable next turn into Creativity the turn up for after, hopefully, could still seal the deal. Because the Solitude is no real threat. And they are down to 3 cards now that they drew a third one. Biggest problem would just be a Psychic Frog. And I summoned the Psychic Frog. I should sometimes just shut the fuck up. We draw another Creativity. Oh, that's also sweet. But let's just run out the Fable and pass a turn. We could... Oh, one lucky thing about this land is as well that they can't give that Psychic Frog flying. But I will still just take the hit, I think. Because if they discard something, we're not certain to hit a land drop for Creativity. So let's just take the hit. So we can attack with a Shaman to create a treasure token. And this Shaman is worth more than a random card from our opponent right now. Opponent still discards a land into the Psychic Frog. And they have another one. Well, they are tapped out, but they could still have... a Force of Negation. Let's get rid of the Looting and the Lorien. We find a Thoughtseize to make sure our Creativity resolves. Our opponent decides to discard away their cards, but the Archon will be big enough to handle everything our opponent's got. Our opponent did have a Force of Negation, so let's just create a small boy. Hit our opponent, even though they will probably just eat it with a Psychic Frog, but we get to use our first Creativity. Opponent trades with the Solitude. Why would they do that? Why? Now we get to answer one of the Psychic Frogs and the other one won't be able to block our Archon. That block made no sense, but I take it. So I think we're 1-0, that means. Because with only 2 lands, there is no out for our opponent. Yeah, nice. On to the next match. And I will also start the stream right now, I think. Because I still have a little bit of time left. So yeah, see you in the next round. Match number 2. We are on the play. Looting command to remove the spells. Nothing too exciting, but definitely worth keeping. Let's get rid of an additional looting. Don't think there's a need for 2. And our opponent is on an Urza Saga build. Now with the Urza Saga, Blood Moon shenanigan, people trying all that stuff, this looks like it's probably Murphcook build, I'd assume, with Saga into Vial right now. Maybe Brotherhood's End would be a decent bit better than I expected it to be, because we would also be able to wipe the stuff they grab off of Saga, and we would also be able to destroy the constructs no matter their size. Probably Fish Saga, I'd assume. Yep. The Saga Fish. And there is a Tide Shaper. Let's just float a mana to kill it. You try to be fancy, opponent. We try to kill your fish. Definitely would wish to have access to Elishanon in this build, but I think in a persist build, Elishanon is not really feasible. Don't want more lands. We could go for Prismary Command on the Vial right now, but I think I'll see if we can also get rid of the creature. Yeah, they're probably going to do something like Harbinger. Keeping up the removal probably is way more reasonable. With a Vial on 2, they will definitely be able to grab something else. We do have both basic island and basic mountain in this deck, because we can, maybe our opponent goes for Pissing Needle, maybe I should have patched right here. We can grab the island off of Lorien Revealed as well, so we're safe against normal Blood Moons and the basic mountain, obviously because we're Creativity and they are Harbinger shenanigans. It's just a Springleaf from Gloom Lake Wurge. What do they want black mana for? I mean, they don't have access to it right now, but still interesting. Let's just grab our mountain. What do you have, opponent? A Master. Sure. And a Swayaloon. Well, we could Fatal Push the Swayaloon, but I think I'll still just get rid of the Master and actually loot. Because if we find a Creativity, we can answer Swayaloon like this. And if we just have a fetch land, we can just Fatal Push her. Persist. let's get rid of a mine and a looting. We need a fetch land or persist kills the Svalun, and they run out of Shadow Spear. Now they're down to 2 cards, so don't hate the spot we're in right now. Let's make a dwarf in case they run out of Harbinger next turn. No. No, I wanted to flashback the looting. Damn. Is that the Harbinger? It is the Harbinger. Good thing we have our mountain, but I would have still preferred to loot. Oh, you won't do anything. I think we can just get rid of our black cards, because I won't expect to use them anytime soon. Keeping up remand still is okay. And we have to protect this dwarf at all costs, so our creativities do have some targets if we manage to answer this Harbinger. We are most likely just looting our way through to find fables. Opponent hits us with nothing else, not even an equip. And we find a creativity. Let's just use our looting. We find a fable, that's good. Let's get rid of the island and the spell pierce. We won't seppuku our dwarf. Backup Harbinger. Now that's annoying, but our fable just gets that much better. And Vampire's Vengeance also has a small upside of being able to be used with only 1 mountain. Let's get hit by the Harbingers. They only attack with 1. Sure. What do they expect us to do with 3 islands right here? What would be really annoying is if they tidebinded our token to make our chapter to make it a token. That would be really annoying. Force of negation. We could remand our fable to make sure it stays open. What do we think? Remand the force, but if they have another blue card, they counter the fable, or remand the fable to cast it next turn. Their clock is not really fast. I think we have time, so let's just go for the safe route and remand our own fable. Yeah, my PC is frying itself while recording and streaming. And we find a Lorien revealed, so that's also another land drop. Let's just grab a land. One runs out of master. That's bad. That's really bad. Because that means we are dead next turn if we don't find removal. But they still only take with the 1 Harbinger. So we actually do have another turn if they don't have another Lord. Sure. Them not attacking with the other Harbinger right there, it seems so weird. Even if they have another Lord, if it's a 2-mana Lord, we can remand it. So we are not dead. We are just really close to dying. 1 mana? Dismember. Yeah, that's a dismember, if I've ever seen one. Opponent decides against it, because I don't know. Now, that also basically seals the deal. Even if we remand it, we won't be able to make the treasures. I guess still have to go for the remand and hope we find something to answer it again. Thank you for following, Squishy. We just draw Swordseize, so we are just dead to the Harbingers. Damn, was that sound loud. Now, they don't play a lot right now, so maybe we're going to 1 only. Maybe there's a way we survive. It's a master. There is a dismember. We have to block. Is there any way we get out of 2 Harbingers right here? I don't think so. Let's see if we can find something. We don't. Okay, on to sideboarding. Now, we definitely bring in Vampire's Vengeance. And I think I'll also bring in the Dragstones. Because Swordseize seems really lackluster. And our black cards don't really do too much, so I'll also shave 1 persist. I want to make sure that I can play stuff under Harbingers and get rid of their things. Let's run it like this. Even though Spellpeer also isn't great, Remand also isn't too great, but so what? It is what it is. I mean, as far as you are concerned, I am the only Magic player, EOV. Do you know any other person playing Magic? I doubt it. Let's go first again. Looting, Archon Remand, sure. Let's just hope we draw a persist. Ah! I thought I was special to you. Let's just grab our Blood Crypt and loot away our Archon. And we find a persist. That's perfect. One might have a Force of Negation to stop us. But I just hope he won't. Let's also just grab our basic mountain, so we are safe from flood mages. And persist. It's a battlefield, and it's maybe already GG. Archon do be kinda good against fishes, if it resolves, especially turn 2. They discard a Glassbur Mimic, and they keep on going. We draw another looting. We do have Vampire's Vengeance as a board wipe, and we have access to Remart next turn, so let's see if our opponent can do something against our Archon. They tap it right here. Yep. Oh, that's annoying. Fortunately, we don't have our blue mana right now because I grabbed the mountain. And we find another persist. Let's just run it back to our opponent. So we have our Vampire's Vengeance to wipe away their stuff. We take the hit for 2. Wait, this guy has more abilities? Damn! That's crazy! Oh, if we answer it in response, does it still shuffle away, I think? Because it still has one target. Crazy. Okay. I did not see that this card had more text. Should have used the Vengeance earlier. Play was so bad, the cat jumped up to scold me. Let's grab a Sundering Falls. It is another land, but it is a tapped island. Let's just get rid of it. We can do better. For example, like this. Let's just slam another creativity and hope this resolves as well. It does. One more Archon down. Opponent doesn't even vial something in. Okay, we just get to hit them again with our Archon. I appreciate it. Well, there might be a Tidebinder to stop this trigger. Seems like that's the case. Yeah, Tidebinder is somewhat annoying, but we do have our Vampire's Vengeance, and they still take a hefty hit. I will just use a Vampire Vengeance right here, so they don't have a Lord. Are there any Final Fantasy cards you guys are excited for? Opponent has a Hexcatcher, sure, and a Flare of Denial. Hexcatcher into Flare was something I did not anticipate. Opponent is still at 5 life and down to only 3 cards now. We take the hit. So let's just... with the trigger on the stack, run out the Vampire's Vengeance. Opponent sink into Super on our Archon, but we do have a remand. Nice. One name Gamba 2, so I don't think there's any real changes I want to make to our sideboarding. Let's just run it back as it is, and let's hope we have enough removal. And this time we know that this Merfolk versus Sun counter has more abilities and can shuffle away Archons. Damn! That's 2 little lands, but we do have Fable and Bolt and the lootings. We are on the draw. Are we greedy? Opponent is mulliganing to 6. Let's not be greedy. This is looking okay, I guess. Get rid of the Dwarven Mine. We have our lands for sure. Ooh, Dressdown's also sweet. And a creativity, definitely keep this. Also have our Fable again. That's just a Master of Pearl Trident. I don't mind. We will still just take the hit if our opponent moves to combat right away. Because I can't have them harping us without a mountain in play. So maybe we have to grab a basic mountain right now. So it's animation working properly, I think. Yep, we take a hit for 2. That's not too bad. Yup. Nothing else. Don't mind me, opponent. I'll just grab a theater and I will keep a land. Let's run out our Fable and let's get it countered by a Hexcatcher. But we do have our basic mountain. I doubt it will. Nice. They tap our Shaman. Do they use the Drowner to tuck away the Shaman? That would be funny. They have a Superphoric Springs and there is a Harbinger. Now we don't have access to Fatal Push against it right here. But we do have Rest Down. Players are really, really weird thing. When nobody really knows how they work. Let's see if we do get our black mana. So I actually think we don't. But I'm not 100% sure. Yep, we actually don't. That's so stupid. That's so dumb. I love how Magic is an intuitive game where reading the card explains the card. If we had gotten our black mana right here, we could have played the Scalding Talon, pushed the Harbinger, and we would have been in business. But now we actually are taking a real beating. That's a great draw. That's a real great draw. Well, they are at 3 cards. Let's still just attack with our Shaman to make the treasure, so we can play both push and bolt. Maybe our opponent doesn't have anything, but I doubt. We take the hit, so let's bolt the Harbinger. They hardcast the Force of Negation. So let's make a black mana like this. We have Revolt, and let's get rid of the Harbinger. And if Revolt doesn't work right here as well, just like with Flicker Wisp flickering one of your lands, I would be so mad, but it does work. Run out a Dwarven Mine, and hope they don't have a second counterspell, because if they don't, we're golden. And if they do, we're just dead to the Floodpit Drowner with Island Walk. It's a Dismember. Oh no, we're dead. Such a shame. 1 life. Such a shame. GG's opponent. So we are 1-1. We do have creativity, lore and wield and stuff, but that's just too slow without any looters. So we mulligan. No, we do have some interaction. I don't hate it. Sorry. What do we get rid of? Let's get rid of the Remand, because the other cards should be live in pretty much every matchup. Remand sometimes is bad. But energy looks like it. Yup. Now let's grab a Steam Vents and bolt away the monkey. Would absolutely love to draw a loot spell to dump this Archon in the yard and persist it next turn. That unfortunately doesn't do it. Do we mill an Archon like this? No, but we find a looting. That's great. And we have Spell Pierce to protect our combo. Now, Archon is not the best against Oathslot Pride going wide, but we can Spell Pierce, can maybe Spell Pierce a Static Prison, or we can Spell Pierce something like a Bombardment right now. Opponent shocks in another land, and it's a Fable. Let's just get rid of that. Don't mind me, opponent. And now we're happy we are playing a Persist variant. Let's loot. Maybe we also find a Creativity. Oh, that would have been too nice. And let's persist the Archon. Come, draw creativity, draw creativity, draw creativity, draw creativity. Opponent discards Flage. No! I mean, at the very least, they don't have the cards engraved to escape Flage with haste right now. They could only escape it with... Oh, okay, just play the Bombardment. Like, don't really mind. I want to block that. Now, they could kill it if they deal first strike damage, ping, and then play Discharge. But then, let's just live. Is there also the Discharge coming? Yup, jinxed myself. But we do have Remand against Flage next turn, which is why I won't play Fable right now. Definitely want to hold up Remand, because Escape Flage would suck, especially if they would draw an Arena. It's Season Pyromancer, let's still Remand that. Don't want our opponent to refuel and find lands. Spell Pierce is not the best, but I guess it's okay. Run at the Fable. And we're just looking for another creativity or another persist. Persist would actually be ideal because there's no way for them to interact with it, and Bombardment makes creativity somewhat of a liability, especially with Season Pyromancer. Because if they discard 2 things now, they have an answer to every of our creatures. Also discarded another Flage, but they miss a land drop once again. That's at least something. Let's get rid of the Spell Pierce, and I think I'll keep the looting to loot more efficiently. Let's attack our opponent with a Shaman, so we have a target they can't bombard away. They just trade with the Pyromancer. Interesting. Let's loot. Let's cut another Archon. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, I also think I'll get rid of the Swordseize. Let's run out another Fable. And we are just digging. Opponent, do you have a land drop to escape Flage? No. Just a tapped land and a Guide of Souls. Please no Ajani. Ajani would be really bad. No Ajani. Nice. So now we get to loot. I will loot away both those cards, because at this point we have enough mana to loot with Flashback Persist, but we just draw creativity. So let's go all out. Creativity for these 3. Our opponent can answer 2 of those by sacrificing their elementals, but that also means the last one sticks and gets rid of their Guide of Souls. And we still have a Shaman. Could have also attacked first to make sure we have another treasure. Yeah, should have done that. That was sloppy. Do as I say, not as I do. And as long as they don't fight an Arena of Glory, their Flage won't be able to answer our Archon. Archon hits the field. And they exile our graveyard with this Raven Charm. That's kind of annoying, because we had a handful of lootings right there that would have made our next draws a lot better. But I mean, as long as it's no answer to our Archon, we pretty much just win. And just escaping Flage only answers our reflection. Looks like it's just an escape Flage. Yup. Opponent answers our reflection. Yup. And a land. Together with our bolt, that should just be lethal. Hit you, opponent. Yup. Nice. On to sideboarding. Sideboarding against Boros Energy. I don't really think there's a need for the Sword Seasons. Let's just grab our Vampire's Vengeance. We take in a lucky Leyline in case we get rid of their Flages. I don't think so. Here Leyline is not really the best graveyard hate. Would like something else right here. Maybe finding a spot for main deck Cling to Us would be really good. We just bring in one Dreadstone, keep in one Swordseize. Let's just bring in one Dreadstone, why not? Why the heck not? Nope. Push against the early creature, able to mill Archon and persist to reanimate it, and also our island to be Blood Moon proof. Love it. I love it. Ocelot. Let's just play our Blood Sandmire, and we're 99% to just push away the Ocelot. Opponent runs out Ajani. So let's just get rid of that cat right now. Could also get rid of Ajani, but I don't want them to snowball with the Ocelot. Play a land. Now we'll just grab a Surveil. Play our Fable next turn. And there's a Ragavan. Let's make sure they don't find something good. Ooh, I would have liked to draw that, but our opponent can definitely take this one. Drawing that would have been crazy. Always depends on your format. But in a competitive 1v1 setting in a highly efficient format, it's pretty much just what it is. Ooh, opponent had a land drop into a bombardment. Now that sucks. Now I wish it would be Brotherhood's End. We are taking a hefty beating. Let's grab a basic mountain to run off Fable and hope we survive, which is definitely not a given. Our opponent's deck also probably is the biggest exception from that rule usually, but we're just controlling their board. They sometimes have like 20 creatures on the board at the same time. But then they usually just kill you with this card, because they can sacrifice a creature to deal that much damage to you, to deal damage to you. And yep, we're just dead. Okay, now let's just run it back. And hope we don't get overrun with Ajani Cats. Not having a turn to play was pretty backbreaking. Now, I think on the play I can potentially be greedy with this. Single turn 1 creature shouldn't be too bad. Remand on their 2-drop into Prismary Command to clean up stuff and have a safe target for creativity sounds pretty sweet. But might just be too slow, especially if it's a turn 1 Ocelot. Would probably suck the most. Opponent grabs a Sacred Foundry. Is it? It's the Ocelot. I jinxed myself. Why do I keep doing this? Should just shut the fuck up. Now let's mill an Archon and drop assist. Come on, drop assist. I mean, sometimes you are just the better player, chat. It's just what it is. No luck here. All skill. We always had an answer to this Ocelot. We never were lacking early turn plays. We just always had it. Remember this. We always had it. The creativity player always is the one that always has it. Yeah, sure, play Ragavan. Sure. Yeah, do that. Now, I will create a treasure token and kill one of your creatures, so I hope you don't mind. And I will hit you with the Archon, so you sacrifice the other one. This game was always in the bag. Always. The Valence are so fucking busted. Usually, my opponent is a Glorious player and does this to me. Doing this to my opponent. It's dirty, not gonna lie. Yes, opponent, you get to dash in your Ragavan. Exile Steamlands. Now, do you have a Static Prison to answer him? No. Okay. on to the next match. We are right back. And the webcam is working again. Okay, he just grabbed the lantern one. I like it. I like it. Had to throw everybody out. Please come back, everybody. Please come back. I will absolutely keep another land, so our Fable is castable. Everybody, please come back. He just runs out an iteration. I don't mind if you're playing the slow game. If he's just setting up, I don't mind. And he exiles an Othasari. Doesn't even get any card advantage of it. That's great, actually. And we find a dress down. Everybody's back. The camera is working again, but unfortunately, we don't have the cat any longer. But she's also sleeping really nice right now, so maybe no need to wake her up. Oh no, restarting OBS right there corrupted the file. We lost the first half of the match. We only have the second game. Now that's VV. Let's hope we don't die, I guess. Let's hope we don't die, because if we don't, there's a decent shot we get to do stuff. It's just VV for one and just the heat. Okay, we are still living. And being able to dress down in his upkeep might buy us time to do something. Because unfortunately, because of the island, we won't be able to creativity immediately. We find a Spell Pierce. Oh, let's get rid of Old and Fable? Think so? We don't find another land. Oh no! Definitely have to dress down in his upkeep. Missing a land drop right there is absolutely brutal. And there is the land right on top. Just taunting us. Just passing the turn. Or only hitting us. And if we had one more land, we would be able to creativity with protection. Always creativity with protection, everybody. Don't do it without it. But I don't think we have a choice right now. I don't think we have a real choice. Because this VV would otherwise just storm off like crazy. We could also creativity way the VV. Could do that. Can hope we don't die. He's only at 4 cards. I think I just have to go for it and pray that there somehow is no interaction, which is super unlikely, even if we hit VV. Up. Flame, though we are probably just dead now. Doesn't need a lot of spells. Curiosity, when it deals damage, not combat damage. That's crazy. Curiosity with VV, that's crazy. Holy shit. Every spell draws a card. That's crazy. What the fuck? And we're dead. What? That's crazy. Okay. So we're 2 and 2. We want another die roll. The die is lucky for us. Let's keep this, even though we don't have an Archon to go with our looting and persist. Definitely do have decent removal. But let's just relax this turn and play a Roche's Theater. Sometimes, you know, sometimes it's just that easy. Sometimes it is just that easy. Now run out Boros. Oh, Godless Shrine. Oh, fuck. I guess that's a new way to look at everything. The opponent discards our persist. And we draw another Archon. What is this madness? Let's get rid of you. And let's get rid of the Prismaric command, I think. Definitely keep a Fable. Is it just an Overlord? Probably is a flicker list of some sort. With Godless Shrine into the Swordseas. Emperor of Bones. So they are able to get rid of one of the Archons. They don't know about the remand. So I'll just shock in the Steam Vents, push the Emperor, so we have our looting and our Archons still in yard. Let's get rid of you. I thought Vivi would be good just with playing cantrips. I did not expect Vivi to combo with that card, but that's crazy. Now opponent, what do you have? Another Emperor of Bones. You take that back, opponent. And we find a Swordseas. Not the best, but also not the worst. Let's get rid of that Emperor, because that means they can't answer our Archon immediately. And let's run out the Fable. Our Bowmaster also is kind of annoying, because we do want to loot, but I think picking up the possibility for a persist is better. We're hoping they did not find a land to overlord back their Emperors. Just the Bowmaster. Whoa. And we find a creativity. That's great. Now I like my hand. Let's just attack our opponent. Do they push the Shaman? They do. So let's run out one big boy. Bowmaster being the nuisance it is for creativity decks, having infinite sacrifice fodder. Opponent discarded their overlord. They have another one. Just find a grab a failure. That's absolutely okay. Sit our opponent with the Archon, put them down to 2 life, and we find a bolt. That's lethal, everybody. And bolt. Nice. How do we sidewalk against the white-black deck? I do like Dressdown, but Vampire's Vengeance doesn't really do too much. I also don't really hate any of my cards too much. Spell Pierce sounds kind of bad, because it only hits the Overlords. Let's bring in 1 Vampire's Vengeance, because it does still get rid of failure and small creatures. Unbuffed Emperor, failure, the Bowmaster and stuff, Solitudes, still gets rid of lots of things. And most importantly, it leaves behind a body they can't Solitude. Everybody just went over to Spike, I think. Can't blame them, not gonna lie. That deck looked crazy. So, we don't have any lands, that's an easy mulligan. Looting, Archon, Persist. Combo. Let's get rid of one of the bolts, I think. We could also get rid of the Vampire's Vengeance. I'll get rid of the Vengeance because we're not sure to have 3 lands. And we are just praying our opponent won't discard anything here. Just a Shadowy Backstreet. I don't mind. I don't mind. Now we could run out the looting right now and discard Archon, but I think I'll keep it back because they are playing the Emperor of Bones and stuff like this. So I want to make sure I can play both in the same turn. Best case scenario. They have failure open. That's okay. Let's grab a theater. Swordseize also sounds pretty interesting. I think I'll keep it. Swordseize plus Lightning Bolt right here sounds pretty nice, actually. They run out of Bowmaster. I don't really mind. What do you have, opponent? Now, Vindicate would be rough. Let's get rid of that. Our opponent only has the Bowmaster trying to punish us, going for the looting right now. We could miss another land drop, which would absolutely suck. But if we don't, I think we're fine. Opponent runs out an Emperor of Bones. I don't really care. And I will actually bolt the Bowmaster right now, so they don't get to make any more token. And because the Bowmaster could also hit us immediately. I find a creativity, so let's looting, and if we don't find one now, we can still get rid of the Emperor. We don't find a land. That's bad. Let's also get rid of a Persist. And I will bolt the Emperor right now, so they cannot adapt it. They do have Boggart Trawler to exile our grave. They are not unlikely to do, but maybe they won't, because we did discard 1 Persist. And at the very least, their clock is reduced by a decent bit. Yeah, that's a Trawler. We're just looking for lands to play Fable into creativity after. Place the Witch Enchanter as a land. And we find a tapped land. Mill Archon? Nah, but it's still a land. I'll keep it. The clock is not too fast, especially with us having some decent blockers next turn. Let's just play it slow, run out the Fable, have a Dwarf ready. And they discard us. What do they take? Might take the creativity, they might also take the Fable. But we have kept our card on top, so I think they would expect us to have a land, yeah. And they run out a Recruiter of the Guard to find something else. A Bowmaster would be pretty annoying, actually, simple as it is. They find a Flicker Wisp. A Flicker Wisp can reset their Witch, also pretty annoying. We went through the too much hot air, missing the land drops. That's unfortunate. Only takes with the Trawler. I will absolutely take the hit right here, because I want to make sure we have a target for our creativity if we draw it. Could have blocked with the Dwarf, but he has a Flicker Wisp to answer our Shaman. But he resets the Witch Blessed Meadow to get rid of the Fable instead. That's okay. I think that allows me to grab a Surveillant right here, because he has a Solitude, and the other card must be a white card to punish us. And we couldn't Creativity X2 either way. So let's just grab a Surveillant, because we either have to mill an Archon, which we do, or find a Creativity. Oh, that's absolutely perfect, because that also plays around the Solitude. That's best case scenario. Yep, opponent destroys our Fable. Now I don't actually mind too much. Also find a Bolt, it's also pretty good. Let's just get back our Archon first. Hope he doesn't have a white card to exile it with the Solitude. Please don't. He has. Gets rid of failure to evoke the Solitude. At the very least, we gain a lot of life, and we get rid of another creature here. Back at a healthy 11. And another Archon. Now that's the third one already, yeah. Do I attack with a Shaman to make a token? I will do that. And if my opponent only blocks with one creature, I will bolt the creature. So we get closer to hardcasting Archon. Let's get rid of the Enchanter. Could have also just taken the trade to get rid of and gotten rid of a Flicker with the Bolt. So our opponent's clock is slower. Because it is still a pretty decent clock, even though we gained so much life right there. Because we can't even fetch now. No, we're just dead. Yeah, that was stupid. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's 1 mana too little. I miscounted. I thought I would be able to cast Archon right there. Yeah, that was my mistake. Just miscounted. Thought I had 1 mana more. But I don't. So on to the next game. Our opponent playing so many small critters. I will actually bring in a second Vampire's Vengeance because they also have Flicker Wisp and stuff. Let's go first. Pressed on remand removal creativity. That's all I could ever ask for. Except looting into Archon with the lands to play it. But it's not bad. Let's grab a Theater. I will keep a land. We definitely need to hit our land drops. Let's run out the Bloodstained Mire. Now we have Remand up for potential Overload our opponent could play. That's just a backstreet. I don't care. No Overlord. Let's just grab a Thundering Falls. And we have Bolt and Push for failure. I will also keep Swordseize. Let's see what our opponent has. Just a Happy Dogo. What else? 2 Overlords, Flicker Wisp and the Emperor. I think I will get rid of the Emperor. And I will just remand an Overlord to dig deeper for land. We can creativity. That's an Overlord. And that's a remand. Vampire's Vengeance. That's also pretty nice against failure and Flicker Wisp. Getting rid of both and having a safe target for our creativity would be nice. We only draw Lorraine revealed, so let's just grab a land. We'll grab a Thundering Falls because we can just push and bolt. We'll keep another Blood Crypt. I don't think I will. Just pass the turn. Grabs another Survey land. And they keep their card on top. What do you have, opponent? Just an Overlord. Opponent returns the Emperor of Bones. Let's bolt the failure. Oh no, let's Fatal Push it because Bolt will also get rid of stuff like the Flicker Wisp without Revolt. Play the Plains. They don't even play their other guy. Oh, that's interesting. Good thing about Redstone is that it also stops Flicker Wisps from flickering their Overlord. It's pretty good. Opponent runs out failure. We could play the Vampire's Vengeance to get rid of failure, or we could play the Dress Down, so they can't Flicker Wisp it. If we play the Lightning Bolt on the Flicker Wisp afterwards and play the Vampire's Vengeance now, let's run out the Vampire's Vengeance actually, because we can still bolt the Flicker Wisp, so Archon will get rid of an Overlord. Now they run out Flicker Wisp, I'd assume. Kitty, what do you think they will do? Give you a snack? Damn, I was thinking the same thing. Do they just hardcast Overlord? That would be crazy. No, that's a Flicker Wisp. And they do also have the mana to play failure. They just play another Overlord. Let's just get rid of the Flicker Wisp while we can. So hopefully they won't have a Solitude. They don't mill a Solitude with this one. I mean, Solitude wouldn't stop us from resolving the creativity right here, but it would still answer our Archon afterwards. Do they hit a Solitude of this? They don't. Sweet, so maybe they won't even have a Solitude to get rid of our Archon after. And if we draw a fetch land, X2 might seal the deal. We don't, but that's still fine. Answering this Overlord still buys us a decent bit of time. And if they Solitude right here, it would also get rid of lots of their resources. They discard an Emperor of Bones. Now we find a Dwarven Mine. You're a Bit too late, but that's still okay. Let's just run it out. And we do have Dress Down and Prismary Command next turn. So opponent, they do have something to reset this Overlord. So they probably will just dig for Solitude to find to have an answer for our Archon. Probably just Flicker Wisp their Overlord. They also have an Aven Interrupter in their hand, which is kind of interesting. Dress Down is pretty good against the Interrupter. Did not see a Persist there. That's just a Flicker Wisp to reset their Overlord. And they are digging for Solitude. I mean, they are through half the library and did not find a Solitude for now. They are definitely somewhat unlucky. And there's no Solitude here as well. But that's the last Overlord they have. The other ones are all in their grave. That's pretty unlucky for our opponent. But I will take it. Opponent returns a Witch Enchanter. We find another Creativity. We just Creativity our Dwarf right here. They do have the Elven Interrupter, so they could just stop that. Now let's attack with the Archon. And with the trigger on the stack, they evoke a Solitude right here. Oh. What did they get rid of? They got rid of the Witch Enchanter. So they have the... Okay, they have that guy still in hand. I think I will dress down here. So we keep our Archon. And they won't mill their Solitude. They can't get it back with the Overlord enough. They might play the Interrupter to stop the dress down. Then we could use a Prismary Command to dig up. They play the Interrupter right here. They do plot our dress down. They will answer our Archon. We have the Prismary Command right here. We'll just keep it up for now. Next turn we could also just draw a card with the dress down. We still have 2 Archon in our library, so Creativity X2 with the Prismary token would also be pretty good. Probably will just pick up a Solitude with their Overlord right here. They definitely want to know what they grab before I shoot off this Prismary Command. And they do grab a Solitude, to be expected. So let's just get rid of the Interrupter and create a treasure. So we still will be able to resolve a Creativity for at least 1. And if we just draw another fetch land, Creativity X2, opponent would be able to answer 1 Dwarf, but would still create 2 Archon. That's unfortunately no Dwarven Mine. Let's still target our Dwarf as well, so they will have to use their Solitude right here. Then being able to just rebuy the Solitudes with Ola. It's another Interrupter. That's rough. That's really good against our Creativity. That pretty much just ruins us. Because that card can't be used blotted. No X for us. That's rough. Draw per turn was the second Aven Interrupter for our opponent. Now they do have a Solitude in hand and an Unknown. Now there's almost no way for us to come back. You can't use plotted spells instant speed. Unfortunately, no. That's why Interrupter is so good against counter spells as well, because they can't be used instant speed. That doesn't really do anything. Proceed with X targets. What happens if we do that? We still have to pay 2 because of the Interrupter. We can just cast it without targets? Why can we cast the spell without targets? Let's run out the dress down, I guess. To maybe draw looting to loot away Archon. There is a Bowmaster that shoots away our Dwarf, but yeah, I guess. That's just a remand. And now I want to see what happens if I cast it for 0. Literally just goes on the stack. Should not be able to do that, I think. I think I should not be able to do that. But it is funny. Now we are dead. There's no out for us. GG's. Sad we went 2 and 3. Definitely sad. But I guess such is life. Brotherhood's End would have probably been better than the Vampire's Vengeance. Sideboard definitely needs work. Leyland's Void as only hard graveyard interaction. Only does something against all in graveyard decks and dress down. While being cute against all the constructs, I'm not sure if it's good enough. I don't think I want to touch Consigned Terrastodon right here. And I would like to find a way to put in at least 1 Cling to Dust. Not sure how I'm supposed to do that though. Well, my girlfriend will arrive home in just a bit. So perfect timing to finish this. Sad that we only went 2 and 3. Deck still is somewhat decent for being a fun Grixis list. I think it's okay. There's definitely better creativity decks. There's definitely better decks overall. Hope you still enjoyed it. Have a good one and see you in a bit.